thing just lies down his throat like that. That's some shit right there. Like, no, that is no, Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chelsea and you're watching Chelsea Sang. In today's video, we are going to be doing a volume 1 review of Kaiju number 8. Let's get right into it. Alright, so a quick summary of the story. Japan is basically the country with the highest kaiju appearance rate in the world, and in Japan there are two organizations that kind of handle these like monsters that just appear and just destroy everything. So you have the Kaiju Defense Force, and their job is to basically exterminate these kaiju, and then you have the Kaiju Corpse Cleanup team, who they do that. They clean up the dead bodies of the kaiju that the Defense Force like leaves around. And so the protagonist of our story, his name is Kafka. He is somebody whose dream it is to join the Defense Force, and basically, like, despite his age and several huge setbacks, he attempts to take the exam again, having failed a few times, and then that's kind of where his story kind of begins. So now we're going to go into a synopsis of volume 1, and from here on there is going to be spoilers, so you can skip to after the synopsis. After the synopsis if you don't want any spoilers for this. So yeah, story starts out, volume 1 starts out with Kafka kind of begrudgingly accepting his fate, you know, after having failed the Defense Force entrance exam several times. He is now working. He's now a very diligent corpse cleanup guy, and so that's kind of where the story opens. We see him there, he's doing his job, and then he's introduced to a young Ichikawa, who is supposed to be his new partner on the job. So Ichikawa is this aspiring Defense Force applicant, and basically he's there to kind of get some training about like corpse cleanup, because he hears that it's gonna be it could be a part of the practical exam. So when he finds out that Kafka also wanted to be on the Defense Force but now has like given up, he kind of looks down on Kafka, and like because he's kind of like given up on his dreams. And then however, Kafka later saves him when he is attacked by a live kaiju that comes out of a dead corpse that they were cleaning up. And after that, he kind of sees Kafka's potential, and then kind of starts and convinces him to try the exams one more time. Now they have recently kind of opened the age limit that they put on it, so he's still eligible to join the Defense Force, so he decides to give it one more try, right? So after that, after the attack, they're basically kind of like recovering in the hospital, and somehow he ends up digesting like a little mini kaiju that's flying around, just kind of like goes down his throat, and he kind of becomes this humanoid hybrid kaiju. And now he's like packed with this immense power, and he has the ability to change back and forth between like his kaiju form and his human form. And then he ends up on the Defense Force's radar, and they kind of code him Kaiju number 8. So that's where the title of our book comes from. And so despite everything that happens, he still decides that he is going to take these exams one more time, and he and Ichikawa both study and attempt to get in. Regardless of the fact that he has these abilities, he decides that he's gonna go for the entrance exams without using his powers. So the day of the practical exam, it is revealed that the practical is gonna be like a kaiju hunt, and he is kind of caught off guard for the whole thing. But like during the exam, he really kind of starts to kind of feel his age and his inabilities when compared to the other applicants that are there. They're kind of like really skilled and everything, and he decides. But like, however, during the exam, he like it becomes like really clear that like his knowledge that and experience that he's gained during his cleanup days becomes like an asset like out in the field. He's at like, even though he's kind of behind compared to everybody, he still decides that he's not going to use his powers. This a kaiju appears that was kind of unexpected and unplanned, like not a part of the exam, and the top person who's there kind of goes after it, and then Kafka kind of springs into action and decides to rush over there to help her out, and then he ends up being kind of exposed, and his because he just kind of comes, his kaiju form comes out, so she ends up learning his secret, and that is the end of volume 1. Volume 1 kind of ends on a bit of a cliffhanger where we see him in his kaiju form, his secret gets out, and we don't really know, we kind of know what's gonna happen, but we don't really know what's gonna happen next. So overall, the story is kind of like, you know, your basic hero's journey type of storyline, but you know, even so, it seems like it's gonna be an interesting story, and it has a really good ensemble of like characters. So that's something to look out for. One of the things that I noticed is that it kind of has a lot of the I don't want to say tropes of your typical shonen. Something that I don't see often is that the main character this time is a lot older. So like Kafka is 32, and you don't really see that a lot. Like, he's older, he's a little bit mature, and he has so much more chill when compared to some of our typical shonen leads. Asta springs to mind from Black Clover, like, and Naruto as well. But I mean, he does kind of still have those elements, but you can tell that the way how he behaves and the things that he says, that you can tell that he's kind of lived the life. You know, he is somewhat more mature than what we normally get. So I think that would be an interesting perspective kind of for the genre itself. Like imagine if Black Clover was a story from Yami's perspective. You know, like how, like, I feel like that would be like totally interesting. Or like if Fire Force was a story about Obi and his like ragtag team of firemen. You know, like I think it's gonna be like an interesting different viewpoint. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, and I'm really interested to see how that like develops a little bit further down. You know, there's always kind of like a rival or some person that at the beginning of our hero's journey that they're kind of striving to get towards. I think one of the things that also kind of stood out to me for this is that that person for Kafka is female, and she is kicking butt and taking names, you know. So like she is leading the team for the defense force. So I think that's also something that's a little different that you don't see very often, and I am certainly another plus for me so far. Another thing that kind of stood out to me is the comedic chemistry between him and Ichikawa. They kind of have this like brotherly banter thing that's going on, and I do enjoy that for the little bit that we do get to see in volume 1. And you're also kind of introduced to a bunch of characters at the same time towards the end of the volume, where he's taking the exams, and you meet like all these people who you're probably going to keep seeing for a while throughout the series. So it was a lot, but it happened rather smoothly. So I didn't mind it too much. But yeah. So those are my kind of basic thoughts so far on Kaiju number 8. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Fire Force and Tokyo Ghoul somewhat. Just a little bit, you know, like some parts of it. I kind of feel like it might go a little bit into that direction. Into the Tokyo Ghoul direction, just thing. But you know, with the whole like kaiju just kind of like popping up everywhere, anywhere. It's kind of like the Infernals on Fire Force, and then him being in a caught between both worlds is also an interesting look that kind of does bring me back to Tokyo Ghoul just a little bit. But will I keep reading Kaiju number 8. Definitely yes. I was ready for volume 2. Like I was ready to like jump into volume 2 like right away. Mostly because of the cliffhanger. But overall it's funny. It got me invested into several characters like pretty early, and there's enough mystery with what is happening to kind of have me wonder what will happen next. So I will definitely keep reading this. I don't know how long I'm gonna stick with it, but for now I definitely recommend checking it out if you think it's something that's kind of up your alley. I'd give it a try because so far so good. And there probably will be a lot of scenes with kaiju kind of like stomping around and kind of like messing up, destroying cities and stuff. So there's a lot of really cool like destroyed architectural backgrounds in here that I find very very intricate and rather cool. You know, like all of the kind of destroyed stuff. Okay, here's a cityscape. Yeah, very cool. All right, yeah, so that's it for my review of Kaiju Volume 1. Let me know what you think. If you guys have read it, if you are gonna keep reading it, or if you think you'll give it a try, let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.